Hi, I'm Brent Payne with Right Stuff Equipment. This is going to be a simple setup video for the CVC350, which is a tube labeler to label, tubes and things like that. So to get out of the crate, we just plug it into standard 110 power. Our switch is back here on the back cabinet. We'll turn it on. Okay, it's going to start booting up. The first thing to look for is if you have a cap with any sort of obstruction that's going to keep it from rolling clean. We want to set our rail here to make sure that you're past our rollers. This particular one does not have anything that's going to be obstructing, but a tube like this, you just want to make sure we're clear so as this thing rolls, we're not getting an uneven roll. So our rail back here, we can move it in and out to make sure that we're clear of anything that's going to obstruct it from rolling smoothly. Okay, so after that's set up, our screen's booted up here. First thing to do is set our head to the height that we need for our tubes. So we take a tube, we'll slide it here underneath the peel plate here. And if you have to move it, if it doesn't line up good, you can manually move our conveyor chain. You want the center of that bottle to be kind of on the edge of the peel plate. So that's a little bit high. So on the back underneath side here, there's a crank handle that's going to move our entire system up and down. So we're going to move it down closer to the edge of that tube. We want to be roughly less than a 1/4 inch away from it. You want to be fairly close. It's just going to lead to more accurate labeling. Okay, so we move it in there. Our belt here is going to be spring loaded, so it's going to give as that tube runs past there. Okay, so after we get that set, we're going to put our labels on. This holder here is just a simple switch, and then it'll pull off, and we can wind our labels. Here we have a wind chart that'll show you how to put the labels on to the system. Okay, so we'll go up and around, and then this is our brake, which is going to release that and allow it to free spin. So put them on backwards, so we'll have to take them off, flip them over here. Up and around our brake. This here is set up for a TTO printer. Not necessarily all print labelers are going to have this on it, but if you do, you want to go on the outside of this platen. Your printer would mount here and then print directly on the labels. Come through, this is our label sensor. We want to make sure we get through the edge of that sensor. Down through our first set of drives here. We're going to come down around our peel plate. Around the peel plate, through the second drive, and onto our pickup spool. Pickup spool is a quick release little hook here. It just goes in this dot and in the indent of there, and you could spin it taut, pick up any slack that you have in there. Okay, you want to make sure you get these drives locked down. So that's how we run that. We want to put our hold back on. If this isn't on, your labels will tend to walk. So just get it nice and tight up against your labels and lock it down. Okay, as with all CVC equipment, we have a quick auto adjust. What that auto adjust is going to do is measure our bottle diameter and also measure the length of our labels. One key in that, again, with all CVC labelers with auto adjust, you want to make sure that this area on the label sensor is blank. You don't want to have a label there. So if you have to peel one off in that area, or if you have a long lead like I have here, just make sure that that's blank. Okay, we'll touch and hold the auto adjustment. And then it's going to kind of tell us what to do. We want to place one container on our conveyor. As it goes through, it's going to measure the diameter and measure our label length and set our label to where it needs to be. So there, it read the length of our label and set it so we have just a tiny little flag here hanging out the edge. Now that is adjustable with some parameters. So after that, we're good to go. We can start placing tubes on our conveyor for labeling. Now you can adjust kind of the position of where that label hits. Back on the back side here, the whole head can move in and out and up and down with this simple crank handle. So we'll move it out a little bit, get it more in the center of our bottle. There's a nice scale there for, you know, mark down, and so for quick adjustment, so it's not quite a guessing game. So I've adjusted that. I'll put it on and see if I like the position better. So now we're moved down more in the center of the bottle. Okay, there are some parameters we can change under label parameter. So our bottle diameter, so if that doesn't read correct, we can manually set that. So if I push stop here, come in to our label parameter, you notice our bottle diameter, it only says 6. But this bottle diameter is roughly, 20 millimeters. So I'm going to come in and just change that. It's just going to change kind of the delays and stuff like that a little bit. Our label length, it read at 66. We have a label speed. We could slow down or speed up our label speed here if needed. Our extension is how much flag is sticking out on our peel plate. So if we wanted more flag or less flag, we can add a plus or minus there. Position is the time from the sensor sees the bottle to when the label starts to fire. And sensitivity and label sensitivity are all manually set by, or automatically set by the auto set. That has to deal with the label sensor. I wouldn't really mess with those. These other ones you can to get performing a little bit better. So then we can just go back, press start, and label some more tubes. So if you notice, look down there, when this is coming through, I'm going to catch because of that cap. So as this is coming through, it's shooting a little bit late. That tube is past the peel plate when it starts to shoot. We want to, hit it right when that tube gets there. So if we stop here, come into label parameter, I'm going to use this position to change that setting. So if I come in, we'll just say we'll go 10 and see if that labels a little bit better. So now we can see if it's shooting sooner right when it hits that peel plate. And that's hitting a lot sooner. You'll get more accurate labeling doing it that way. So that's kind of our label parameters. To save, if we wanted to save these parameters, we just come into save, or we got to stop it, come into save memory, select one that's not being used already, which are all the white ones, and we could just add a name to it. We'll just put test, and now we're saved there as test. To load it, we'll come to call memory, select whatever program you want to load, and it's going to load all the parameters of that job. So another thing to watch out for, if you do have something that's going to obstruct, you can put them back to back in here if you have nothing that's going to obstruct them. If you have something that's going to hit and obstruct, like this bottle here, if there was another one, they're going to hit. You have to go every other. But if nothing's going to obstruct, you can pretty much put them back to back on this conveyor. So that's the quick setup guide for the CVC350.